This is my 4th time trying to record an intro for this video, but my dog keeps interrupting me, so let's just get into it. Here's a pet painting, and also a Q&A. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing well. I asked you guys over on my Instagram what kind of voiceover thing I should do for my final pet painting video. The first 2, I talked about the actual painting themselves, and then the 3rd one, I didn't want to do that again because it'd be really boring. And a Q&A was a popular suggestion, and I don't think I've ever done a proper Q&A on my channel. I think the closest thing I've done to a Q&A was that like assumptions thing that was popular like a year-ish ago on YouTube. And so I figured, you know, it's probably time for me to do that. I figured this would be a nice video to do at the end of this year. It's a nice, chill, relaxing video, and that's what I like to do at the end of the years, and after a year like this, I need a break. So it's one of 2 chill videos that I'm going to be ending the year with, so I hope that you're happy with this. There's just gonna be a whole mix of questions. Some of them are related to art in my channel, some aren't, some are related to my animals, some are me. It's just a whole bunch of everything, and I picked a bunch of questions that I thought were interesting and that I wanted to talk about, so we're going to be doing that today. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, I don't know how interesting this video is gonna be, but yeah. So first up, one stupid or funny or interesting story about each of my pets. Well, I guess for one, this happened literally just last night. My cat Leo was sitting on top of a pizza box. So yeah, he literally just crushed the pizza. Don't worry, it wasn't open. He just flattened the pizza a little bit because he's a big round boy. Lily, Leo's sister, she put 2 people in the hospital once. That's the story. I think she was at the groomer. She wasn't happy with how they were handling her, so yeah. Quick note right here, because I feel like people are gonna ask about it. People are okay. And also Lily is a lot less feral. This was several years, I mean, she's not that old, but this was a number of years ago, and ever since me and my sister started babying her, now she is just a tiny, circle, hairy baby who wants nothing but love and affection. And then Zola and Abby, there really aren't any interesting stories about them. Zola and I had a father-daughter-esque photo shoot together. I guess I'll put some of those on screen. And then Abby, I think the most interesting thing is that when I adopted her, she was crawling all over me, and that's why I chose to adopt her. But Abby's, she just has nothing going on. As you can probably tell by the painting, there's nothing in her head. There's no brain. Next up, have you ever tried doing animations? I have. Not only did I animate the intro that you see in the beginning of all my videos, but I also took an animation class in high school. That's about it. It's not something that I take super seriously, it's just something that I enjoy doing every now and again. But because of how much work animation takes, it's not something that I could even do more often, even if I tried, because I'm already busy with like YouTube and comic stuff, but I have done animations. How did you get into YouTube? I've pretty much always wanted to make YouTube videos ever since I found out that YouTube videos were more than just like lyric videos to songs. You know? And then also like slideshows of Sonic the Hedgehog fan art. But once I figured out it was more than that, even before I knew that it was like a job or anything, just when I knew that people made content on YouTube, I just really wanted to make videos. It wasn't even really art related stuff at first. I hadn't found the art side of YouTube, but pretty much when I was like 11 or 12, when I started finding out more and more about YouTube, I just really wanted to make content. And then I found out later on in life that it could be a job. And now it is my job, which is crazy. When you create characters, how do you keep them feeling like they belong in the same universe? I'll give you 3 different examples from like my different universes. I talked about before how in Andy's sort of universe, there's that clothing brand that they'll wear. Each of the characters in that universe has at least 1 article of clothing with that logo on it. And so then that way, it's something that ties them all to each other, so it's like you can kind of infer that that's a really popular brand in their universe. So it's just something to bring them all a little closer together. And then another one of my universes with Arietta and Robin, Micah, Jax, those 4 characters, they all share color schemes with each other, I guess, but it's mostly in their eyes. We have Arietta, right? She doesn't really have like a main color scheme, she just has like a variety of colors, but then her eyes are red. And then Robin's main color scheme is red and her eyes are green, and then green is Jax's main color scheme, and I think you get the point. They have eye colors that are like each other's color scheme, and I don't know, in my mind that just helps to like make them feel like they're in the same universe. And then for my last universe is actually my webcomic characters, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but the 5 main characters of my webcomic have similar elements to each other. So like Alice and Lo, they both have long coats, and then Lo and Noe both have stripes on their shirt, and then Delaney and Lux both have similar, like, buckle detail things. Like, Lux has it on their shirt, and then Delaney has it on his coat. There's a few more, but kind of stuff like that. There are similar elements that the characters have with each other that kind of make them seem a little bit more cohesive as a unit while still making them feel very individualistic. Yes, I don't know if any of that made sense, but I hope that that helped you. How do you come up with layouts for pages in your sketchbook? They always look so good. Well, thank you. It's mostly color schemes. So if I have characters within the same universe, I will try and draw those like on the same spread. Like if I'm drawing a character from Delaney's universe, I would try to not draw a character from like Andy's universe, you know? It sometimes happens, but I try to avoid that. And just think of things that like fit with what I've already drawn and like colors that fit with what I've already drawn. And I've mentioned it in videos before, how I've become a lot more lenient with myself on letting me like jump around in my sketchbook, because before it would be like I would have to sit down and finish a spread and I couldn't turn the page until that spread was finished. But sometimes that would lead it to look busy because sometimes I just didn't feel like doing the thing that would make the whole spread as a unit look cohesive. So I've just allowed myself to bounce around and basically just do whatever I want. And then of course, sketching in similar materials, coloring in similar materials. So like if I sketch in pen on a page throughout that spread, I'll only sketch in pen. And then on the next spread, let's say I sketch with like a pencil or like a colored pencil, because I don't sketch in pencil. And then on that entire spread, I would sketch with only colored pencil. Just cohesive is the word to keep in mind, I guess. What's your middle name? It's actually Oliver. I don't know how many people know that, but props to you if you can remember what my first name is. It's been on the channel before. Do you go in art school? I do not. My furthest degree of education is a high school diploma. I have a lot of mixed feelings about college. I feel like there's a whole lot of pressure, a lot of unnecessary pressure, to be honest, at least in the United States, about like college and stuff. And online, listening to people talk about their experience with art school, it's very, very mixed. And I just didn't want to put thousands of dollars and then have student debt for something I wasn't even sure that I wanted. And right now I'm perfectly happy that I didn't go to college. I'm perfectly content doing what I am doing. So no, I have not gone to college or art school or anything like that. I did take AP art in high school, which is like a college course, I think. You single? Yeah. Been single for 20 years now. Will you do OC animatics like Vine compilations or PMVs? I have thought several times about making like animatics, mostly with Vines and of my characters, or Vines for like fandoms and stuff. I'm definitely still open to that, but the main thing is like those take a lot of time, and like I said, I'm already busy with what I currently do, so I can't promise that I'll ever make something like that, but it is something that I would like to do. Do you have any OCs that are dating? Jax and Micah are dating. Fuck you. That was a little aggressive, but my point still stands. And also, Lux has a boyfriend that you have not seen, unless you follow me on Instagram a few months ago. Then you have seen him. Does being a trans artist affect you in any way while you're creating online content? Yes. I wouldn't say that it affects the content I make too much. Like, of course, I am an LGBT person who is also a creator, and so I do tend to create some LGBT content, since that is what I connect with. But for the most part, it's not something that I'm like, I don't know how to say this, like, it's not part of my brand, I guess. It's like, when people hear my name, I mostly just want them to think about my content that I make, but then also being a trans man who is not currently on any hormones or anything, and a lot of people would read me as female. It can raise a lot of questions. I get comments about my pronouns constantly. For anyone wondering, it's he, him. I don't think it affects my content really, but mostly just how people respond to my content. Some people will refer to me as a girl, mostly on accident. I can't think on the top of my head anytime somebody purposely misgendered me, but whether it's asking about my gender, they'll be like, oh my god, she has great art, and then someone will reply to that and be like, that's a guy, and people are like, what? So it's mostly just like the comments I'll read that are affected mostly by it. I don't think like my actual content here on YouTube is affected a whole lot. Any aspects of editing made difficult or hard due to dysphoria? Absolutely. That's a part of the reason why I don't show my face super often on my channel. And sometimes when I'm editing, I just hear my voice and I want to die. But that was a joke. I'm fine. But still, a lot of people ask me about how like to deal with dysphoria for like filming your voices and stuff, and I have pretty bad like voice dysphoria, not that you would probably guess from my channel. Mostly when I'm recording, I try and like keep my voice like in my chest a little bit more. Sometimes it doesn't work out because it just happened, you know. And like on the internet, the instinct is to like get higher and like more friendly, but I try to keep it like more on my chest so it helps a little bit, but you know. The main thing with dealing with dysphoria is just one day it will be at least a lot easier to deal with. Where do you hope to be with your career in 15 years? Hopefully kind of similar to what I'm doing now. So I got a couple of questions about like YouTube and like where do I expect my career to go from here? Like how long am I planning on doing YouTube? As a short answer, I don't plan on ever quitting YouTube, but I could definitely see it at some point being not my main job. So like right now, YouTube isn't my main job. Like this is my career and this is what I do. This is how I pay the bills. But of course my passion is comic making. I've been working on this webcomic for forever. Don't worry, I have questions about it. They will be answered. And my dream is to have like a graphic novel. Oh god, I just threw my phone. It's fine. My dream is to have like graphic novels published, so you could just like go into Barnes and Noble or something and find a book. That'd be awesome. So hopefully that'll be happening. Do you have any characters you relate to? I feel like I have a bunch of characters that I can relate to with like several aspects, but I don't think I have a single character that is just like me. I talked about before how my character Andy, when I designed them at the time, like that was basically me. But Andy themselves have stayed the same while I have grown and changed as a person. And so Andy is kind of like this little time capsule of how I used to be when I was like 16, 17, which was around the time when I created Andy. When creating new characters, what goes through your mind? It really depends on what the character is for. So like in my comic when I was making new characters, I was basically just thinking like what was needed in the story. Like sometimes if a story is missing something, you can use a character to really help fill in those empty spaces. But then if it's just for something else, like if it's not a character for a story and it's just a character for me, I just think what looks cool. I focus a lot on shapes and silhouettes, so that's like the main thing I focus on. Got any favorite artist that isn't a part of the manga / anime realm? I'm assuming this means like favorite artists that aren't like manga artists or like types of anime, because a lot of the artists I follow are fans of anime. There's a whole lot of artists that I follow, some that are here on YouTube. I like ABD Illustrates, I like Tamika, Greywick. They don't really post to YouTube anymore, but they do post rarely on Instagram and they're active on Twitter. A bunch of people like Leslie Lou Marie, Drawing with Waffles, of course. I feel like everybody at this point watches her. Chloe Rose Art, I really like her art videos. And then Super Ray Dizzle, she makes fun art-related videos. Jinjin Ninja OWO. I heard it's pronounced that and not oh whoa. Yeah, there's a couple of people there. I also like those like animatic channels. There's a debate on what they are. Like Jaden Animations, Emarichu, Illumination, that whole thing. There's a bunch for you. There's definitely more that I'm missing out on. How did you discover Pokemon and what was your first experience like with it? I've actually been playing Pokemon since I was very, 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 very young. Like, could barely read type of young. My first game was Pokemon Blue, and that's because I have an uncle. When I was a very small child, he was in his like teen years, like mid-teens, and so whenever we were at our grandma's house, he would always end up like watching us and stuff, and so I kind of just picked up on like a lot of what he was into at the time, so like anime and like music and all those sorts of things that he was into at the time, and one of them was Pokemon. So it's just something that I've kind of always liked. Do you have any plans for going on T? I do. I'm not gonna talk a whole lot about that on the internet right now, but like testosterone and stuff, that is stuff that I am working on, like the baby stages of. Like behind the scenes and everything. Ask any trans person, it's not as simple as going to the doctor and being like, give me hormones. Yes, I don't know when it'll happen, but at some point I will be on testosterone. What advice do you have for someone who gets nervous to record art videos / voiceovers? Honestly, just do it. Like, I know that sounds kind of cliche and not as simple, but like when it comes to stuff like that, people avoid it because they think that they're not good enough or they think that they're going to be terrible at it. And to that I say, look at my old videos. I hate them. They're so bad. And if you listen to my more recent videos and then go watch the first videos where I recorded my voice, I sound so not confident. Like I was talking quietly because I felt weird about it. I felt really awkward. Yeah, it was not a good time. And recording like voiceovers and like YouTube videos and stuff, it absolutely felt weird in the beginning and it always will. And the only way you can really get used to filming it is to do it. So my thought was always like, well, what's the worst that'll happen? Like, it'll get 2 views and then that's it. If it came out horrible, then like it got 2 views. So it's fine. And then, you know, best case scenario, you get better at it, you get more comfortable, and then boom, you're making YouTube videos. So even if you don't end up posting them, just start doing it. It'll always feel awkward at first. At points early on in recording myself, I would be recording for an hour to get like 10 minutes of footage because I was just so awkward, and there are times where I would sit silent for like minutes on end just because I felt uncomfortable. And now I'm recording and I never shut up, so how the tables have turned. Do you have any new OCs that we don't know about? There's a lot. For the most part, I share all of my characters with you, but all of the characters that you have not seen are in my comic. I keep saying that the story is a lot bigger than I thought it would be, and that's because it's very much true. There are the 5 main characters, but there are tons of supporting characters and tons of more minor characters. You will like at least one character in my comic, I can promise you that. You will like at least one. Any future plans besides your webcomic? P.S. Love your video. Thank you. That was very sweet. Honestly, mostly just more comics. I have a lot of stories I want to tell. Of course, I have like my webcomic with my characters that I'm working on. And then I have Jeremy's universe, I have Andy's universe, I have Arietta's universe, I have Aspen's universe. So that's 5 stories right there, and I have no doubt I'm going to continue making more. And then in terms of things besides comic stuff, just what you would probably expect. Just YouTube stuff, transition stuff. I'm barely prepared for my YouTube videos, and I'm definitely not prepared for life. Where do you get inspiration for your characters in the stories / personalities? To be honest, a lot of the stories that I have come from old characters, and it's very rare that I will sit down and try and construct a story or a character. Normally I'm just doing whatever and then I'll get hit with inspiration. So like I'm like scrolling through the internet, or I'm on YouTube, or I'm listening to a song, and then suddenly I just feel inspired. I try not to force myself too much. Oddly enough, the only story that I like sat down and actively was like, let's make a story from scratch, was my webcomic thing. The entire reason I'm making this webcomic is because I had so many stories that I was afraid to touch and to make the comic of, because I had no experience in making comics. So I figured let's just create a whole new story, and then that will be my dedicated first comic story, so then that way that pressure is off, because this entire webcomic is literally just a test run for me for making comics. And that was definitely really, really hard. It started with Delaney. He was the first, I think. No, he was the second character that I made in the story. The first one is Noe, and she was just a random drawing that I made once, and then she became Noe. And then I sat down and tried to think of a story revolving around them. And then as I thought more about the story, Alice and Lux came in, and then the other stuff happened. Like the plot and the characters happened. So in terms of like my other characters, I more just draw them and then it happens. I think the best example I can have is Jeremy and Aurora. Aurora I made when I was 11. And Jeremy I made when I was 12, and now I'm 20 and I'm still drawing them. So that was literal years of their story changing and developing, and it's not something that I really like actively think about a whole lot, aside from like my comics characters and stuff. It's more of just whenever I have an idea, I put it in like the little idea pot and let that simmer, and then whatever comes out comes out. How do you feel about the compliment, "You're talented"? I actually considered making an entire video about this, so let me know if you guys are interested. I don't really like the concept of talent. Like if somebody says to me like, wow, you're really good at art, you're so talented, like I'm not going to take that as offense, but I feel like the whole concept of talent is just like you're either born with something or you're not. And like I wasn't born being able to draw, I was born being able to hold a pencil, and then I ended up drawing. Like the only reason I'm good at drawing now is because I drew a lot, and that's a question I get a lot. It's like, how did you get so good to draw? Because I draw. And like I used to always say that I was bad at cooking, and that's because I didn't cook, but now I cook, and I'm definitely not Gordon Ramsay, but I can cook and I'm okay. I can make edible food that tastes pretty good to me. And I've heard singers talk about this a lot too, where people will often say that like you're born with it or you're not, like you can born being able to sing or you can born not being able to sing. But there are a lot of singers who are like, no, I had to work to be a good singer. I think the whole concept of talent in general is a very like, it's another way of saying like you don't want to work at something, I guess. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I don't know if that was probably really rambly, but hope that made sense. Who are you drawing, and would you ever be interested in an art collab / trade with somebody? Well, for who I'm drawing, I am drawing my cat Abby, who truly has the deadest of stares. And in terms of art collabs and art trades, personally, I would really be happy to do that, but I don't really know anybody. I don't know, people just assume that because I'm on the internet, I know internet. People assume that just because I'm on the internet, I know a lot of internet people. I do not. If someone wants to come collab with me, that'd be great, but I don't know anybody. So I can't make any promises. Where are you from? Parentheses. Like what countries? My nationality is American. I live in the United States, but then my nationality, I always say Italian and Puerto Rican because those are like the two most prominent, I guess, in my blood. But like many other people, there's a whole mix of stuff. Like, I'm German also. What's your favorite Pokemon game? I recently played Shield again. I recently played Shield again, and it's on the brain. It is a very good game. I do like Sword and Shield quite a lot. I always have a lot of... I cannot speak today. What is wrong with me? And it's a Q&A. This is the video where I need to speak the most. I have a lot of nostalgia for Platinum. I really like that. Have a soft spot for Generation 5, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, also classics. I like the Alolan games. Didn't really care much for Gen 6. I would say my all-time favorite is probably Platinum, but I genuinely like them all. Kind of on a similar topic, do you play video games? And if so, what games? I don't have time to play a lot of video games. The only game I actively play myself is Pokemon, and that's because I make time and it's been my lifelong obsession, so I force it into my life. Like, even so, I still don't have time. Like, I still haven't played the Crown Tundra. I'm hoping to on my winter break. But I don't play a lot of games myself. If I say I like a game, it's mostly just because I watch someone play a Let's Play of it. I talk about Game Grumps a couple of times. It's because I watch a lot of them while I'm working. They're currently playing Danganronpa, so I like that. The first one, they're not finished with it yet, don't spoil it for me. I also like Doki Doki Literature Club, as you may or may not know. I streamed that with my sister. I played a Final Fantasy game once. I played Final Fantasy 13 and I really liked it, which I guess is also a very unpopular opinion. I like watching Zelda games. I think they're very pretty, but I can't say I know a whole lot about them. Favorite arc and fairy tale in your newer manga or anime? I don't know if anybody cares about this, but I want to be a nerd for a minute, so let me. Anyone who doesn't know fairy tale, I'm sorry. I love the Grand Magic game arc. Perfect, and I love it. By perfect, I mean, I just really like all the characters. I also like the Oracion Sace arc. And newer manga and anime. I guess one that would technically be a newer anime is Carol and Tuesday. I love that. If you have not seen it, I would highly recommend it. And this might be a cop-out answer, but the Fruits Basket reboot. I absolutely loved the original, and so when I found out that it was getting a reboot, I absolutely lost my shit, and it's very good. How long have you been out / how did you come out? For point of reference, I am 20 years old. I came out the first time to anybody when I was 15, came out to closer friends and close family members at like 16, and then everybody else after. So I've been out for a while. What's it like working on a comic? I'm interested in what your process is like. It's fucking stressful. It's stressful. I love it, but it's stressful. There's so much work. There's the character designs, right? So we got main characters and then we have the designs of all the other ones. And right now I'm working on making character turnarounds. And there's also like scenery designs for like the more prominent locations and like recurring locations. I need to design those and have references for those. There's the actual making of the comic, which I haven't even gotten to yet. I have not made any pages, but that's gonna be a lot of work. And also the script. So it's a lot of work. I do really like it though, so I don't want you to get the wrong impression. Have you had any interesting quote-unquote love moments with a person of interest? And then those faces. So I don't know what you mean by love moments. You can mean a lot of things by love moments. As a general, love moments. I've not dated anybody. I've been on 2 dates, they were both with the same person, and then that person ended up doing me so dirty. So I've never even been romantically interested in anybody either. Sometimes I wonder if I'm capable of love. But anyway, Oliver, how's the comic going? It'll come out, I promise. I'm so sorry. I promise you it'll be out. The script is done. It'll come out, I promise. What is your favorite band? Paramore. It's been Paramore since I was 12, and it will probably always be Paramore. But I also really like the Neon Trees. That's another band that I like. I also listen to a lot of solo artists, like Billie Eilish, like Phineas, Halsey. Haley Williams' album is really good also, but I feel like that's kind of cheating since I already said Paramore. What advice would you give to people looking to make a comic or a story for their characters? 1, it's a lot of work, so be sure you're ready for that. 2, be patient with yourself. It's not going to come easy sometimes, and that's perfectly okay. There are times when I was writing my script where I would go like months without writing anything because I just could not figure out how to like fill these gaps within the story. And was I going by numbers or letters? 3/C. Don't be afraid to change things. Sometimes you'll have your heart set on a plot point, but sometimes it just doesn't work out with everything. Like, there is a specific scene that I had in mind for my comic that was like towards the end of the comic, but because of how the rest of the story ended up going, I had to scrap that scene entirely because it just didn't work with what I had already written. But everything else I liked too much, and even though I had become really attached to the scene over time, it just did not fit. Just allow yourself to make changes. Not everything is permanent. It's much better to go back and make changes than to have your story be really weak, I guess. And that is where we'll end that, I guess. Those are the questions that you guys had. I have been recording this audio for 40 minutes, so I'm going to end this here. I still have more audio to record, so let me know what you thought. If you have any more questions, feel free to comment them down below. I will do my best to answer. Whether it's unrelated, you just want to continue this little Q&A fun, or if you have questions about anything I said in this video, let me know. Brain melting, need to end video now. Thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you want to see more from me, hello, I am Oliver, but honestly I don't even know why I'm saying that because the only people watching this video are probably people already subscribed to me. But if you are new here, I make a lot of art stuff, so feel free to stick around if you want. And you can also follow me on social media, which will be on screen now and linked in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching me. No, that's not how I end my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.